31 years ago, I discovered the diet and disease connection, which of course is tied into the diet and behavior connection. And that will be as of June 1st, 2021. That's right, June 1st, 1990 is when I discovered the diet and disease connection, the diet and behavior connection. And now I realize it's the diet and everything connection, the diet and we are what we eat connection, the diet and the usury connection, the diet and loaning the money at interest connection, the diet and how the world works connection, the diet and the rulers of the world connection. The diet and everything negative about us connection. That's right, that's what I found 31 years ago. Been on a mission ever since then. It started 35 and a half years ago, and that's when I discovered the diet and athletic performance connection. Read the book Eat to Win. Changed my diet, my endurance level skyrocketed. Got excited. James Cameron just did a documentary, directed a documentary recently called The Game Changers, produced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, proving scientifically why what I did worked. Because when you eat animals, it shrinks the epithelial cells in your blood vessels, you get less blood and less oxygen to your muscles, you simply perform better. I discovered that 35 and a half years ago. So I discovered the diet and athletic performance, our endurance connection. And when I found out what I ate made a difference, boy, I wanted to know more. How much and when should I eat all this stuff? No one could tell me, but I figured it out because I have a degree in accounting. And I used the techniques I learned in accounting, which is the ultimate degree in science. It teaches you how to analyze information. I analyzed the calories in a way that's never been done before. I thought I was going to be famous for what I had done long ago, because I can actually prove mathematically how to lose weight successfully by preventing gluconeogenesis. So 33 years ago, I started writing a book on weight loss. So I started off with the diet and endurance connection, and then the diet and weight loss connection. And of course, to write my book, I realized, well, you know, I've been focusing on those macronutrients, the ones with calories. That's why I analyzed it this way, to make sure I could perform athletically. Had to learn about all those micronutrients. That didn't take me too long. Nonetheless, 2 years into my research is when I found this other library of knowledge. And even though I was somewhat exposed to the diet and disease connection with the first mistake I found we were making. If you've watched my videos before, you know I've identified 5 main mistakes we're making. And when I discovered the athletic performance connection, where you don't eat the animals, I found out, hey, that's one of our mistakes. And guess what? That caused a lot of disease too, but it's not the complete picture because we got 4 more mistakes we're making, which is ultimately what I found 31 years ago when I read the book, Are You Confused? It introduced me to those other mistakes, especially the very first mistake, which is what's changed our mentality, where we now have a subsequent need for money. And now we loan money out at interest, and that's why we're in trouble on this planet right now. Everything on this planet has to do with the absolute tool of control, money, and the ultimate tool of control, our health. So when I discovered this other library of knowledge, that is the diet and everything connection, the diet and what we eat connection, the diet and we are the enemy connection, the diet and we are the heroes connection. Once I understood that, I go, aha. We stopped eating biophotons. That's relative to the first mistake. That's what got us in trouble. So it's the diet and the biophoton connection. It's the diet and the slavery connection. When we don't eat our biophotons, we become so sick, we have 10 subsequent needs we never had before. I identified those in my video, The Ultimate Schematic, or The Ultimate Solution, where I explain all 281 pieces in my special tool called The Ultimate Schematic. It's a very long video where I explain all my pieces. And I know what the ultimate tool of control is. It's our health. It's these biophotons. Again, I identified 10 subsequent needs because we're not eating biophotons. 6 of those can be used against us. One of them is the money. The other is the media. These are subsequent needs that aren't part of what I call our 12 essential needs that are based on the law of cause and effect. They're part of our 2 additional temporary needs based on the ripple effect. One of those 2 additional temporary needs are these 10 subsequent needs. The other one are all those subsequent causes that don't go away just because we remove the primary causes. Now, this video is not about that, so watch my video, Disease Mysteries Revealed, and I explain all that in much more detail along with my video, What is the Healthiest Diet for Humans, where I explain our body has 10 body systems. We got to look at our body holistically. We got to understand all those horses out there that could be weak, and the weakest horse we got amongst those are our food horse. We're eating the wrong food. It's that simple. We're not eating biophotons. Now we have the wrong mentality. We don't have a gift mentality anymore. If we ate our biophotons, you would feel connected to everything around you. And you'd realize there's only one way you can make your life better, and that is to make everything around you better. And that's how we'd be spending our time and our days. We'd be giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. That's what everyone's doing. And what would happen to you? Receiving, 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 receiving. This life is such an illusion. We've got the wrong mentality. We've got to change our mentality. Only one way to do it, we got to start eating those biophotons. That's what got us in trouble. So 31 years ago, I'm celebrating my anniversary here, June 1st. I'm taping this on May 29th. In just a few days, I'll be celebrating my 31st anniversary of being on the raw vegan hero's journey. We're making 5 mistakes. We are what we eat. We got the wrong mentality. We have subsequent needs that are now being used against us. All of our needs can be used against us. They're weapon systems. Number 1 weapon system is our food. Why is there so much confusion around the subject of nutrition? How can you have all these people with PhDs in nutrition and have totally conflicting views? There's a reason. Remember, there's 3 main cycles of food: consumption, absorption, elimination. Our nutritionists aren't taught the elimination stage. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. We're eating food with the wrong bowel transit time. I did a video on that. I'll make sure and put a link down below. That's what causes a lot of our problems. Most of our problems are due to toxicities and deficiencies. The main deficiency we have are biophotons. I coined that term, hypoheliosis, an abnormally low biophoton level. But then we've got a bunch of waste matter inside of us. Auto-intoxication, that's what's getting us in trouble more than anything. Again, I explained that in much more detail in Disease Mysteries Revealed. Something so simple as eating food with the wrong bowel transit time means we're going to be dirty. So when nutritionists go to school, they're not taught this bowel transit time. They don't really understand that food's going through different times. They don't even know that we have a species-specific diet to show you how much of denial we are individually so we can accept this. Of course, you go to school and you expect these people to be legit and telling us right information, but you have to understand there's a small group of monsters who own and control every major sector of human endeavor, and they've taken control over the minds of the masses through long-term indoctrination and policies meant to breed dependency. Remember, folks, I talk about this in Satan's secret weapon, which I should have called Satan Worshipper's secret weapon, that governments go through cycles, Kyklos cycles. I explained that in that video. I explained that democracy goes through 9 cycles. Starts off in bondage. Then we find spiritual truth, and we find the courage to apply that truth. And what happens with that? We have liberty. And with liberty, what do we finally have? Abundance. So there we've gone up 4, but now we go back down 4. With abundance comes selfishness. With selfishness comes complacency. With complacency comes apathy. And with apathy comes dependency. We've been indoctrinated into these policies that are meant to breed dependency. And democracies only last a couple hundred years for a reason. We get into this dependency stage, and guess what? We cycle back around and we're going back into bondage, and that's where we're headed right now, folks. And you play a role. That's the key. A lot of people don't understand the role they play. Every one of us. As long as we're all headed toward that cliff and we're complying with all the crap that's being foisted on us right now, we'll just follow the leader, and that's it. That's why we need the trim tabs that are ahead of that herd, so we can steer our ship away from that iceberg. That's what my YouTube channel is all about. I'm trying to recruit trim tabs, and I know not all of you are ready to do that yet, but every one of you have the potential to be a trim tab. The rudder on the rudder that turns our ship away. The ones at the head of the herd that can help lead the pack away from the cliff we're about to go off of, where democracy goes right back into bondage again. Doesn't have to be. It's an information war. Those who tell the stories rule society. Plato. Well, I've been using that every time I turn around anymore. People have to really think about what that means. Those who tell the stories rule society. I did a video of those who tell the narratives rule society. I explained about the whole thing, this whole concept, how we got to stop and think. Where are we hearing our stories? Who told you about the game changers? Remember, the urge to save humanity is almost always only a false face for the urge to rule it. So every time any injustice is corrected or any mistake is corrected, there are people behind the curtain that are making sure that when we correct the mistake, we don't do it the right way, setting us up for Rockefeller's reset the table. Don't worry, folks, we're going to be having food shortages, but we already got automated cockroach farms to take care of you. And we don't even have to label it. But don't worry, it's going to be yum, 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 yum-ums. You're going to think you're eating a hot dog or a sausage or chicken fried steak. It's just going to taste just like it. They can do magic now with those cockroaches. Doesn't have to be. It's an information war. The mob rules. As I explained in Satan's secret weapon, the need for government, we got 10 subsequent needs. One of them is our need for government. It's a subsequent need because the mob got out of control. What happened to the mob? They stopped eating biophotons. Biophotons feed our sixth sense, our spidey sense. It's how cells communicate. All life on this planet has these in them if they're living. That's why when you cook your food, there's no more in there, and that's what happened to us. We stopped eating those biophotons. It changed our mentality. Now we're out of control. The mob's out of control. That's called oglocracy. So how did this whole mess start? Oglocracy. That's what created the first form of a government. Again, I explained the Kyclo cycles in Satan's secret weapon. But it all starts with oglocracy. The mob is out of control. Now where are we at now? In the 9th stage of the democracy. We're in the dependency stage right now. Well, what's happening? The mob, once again, is in control. Who controls the mob rules the world. Those who tell the stories rule society. Those who tell stories the most, the movies you watch, the TV you watch, the news you listen to, even our so-called patriot leaders, most of them are controlled opposition. You got to really stop and think about it, don't you? Have you ever contemplated on what that really means? What are the ramifications? Are you clever enough to know how to rule the world? Oh no, I wouldn't know where to start. It's not that hard. Just got to trick everybody. Tell them stories you want them to believe. Get them to believe in nonsense. So we'll do stupid things. And do it thinking we're doing it for the betterment of everyone. So, been on the raw food, vegan, hero's journey for 31 years in just a few days. Totally transformed my life. It's given me meaning and purpose in my life. I get excited every day when I come out here because I never know how many people I might be able to influence and help motivate them to get onto the hero's journey. And that's what this is all about, folks. It's an information war. We got a mob out there that's uninformed. They don't realize who's telling them the stories and whether those stories are legit. I could go on and get into another version of controlled opposition known as a social counterbalance, but I'm not going to go there at this time. But Google that and see if you can think about who I might be thinking of in particular, who might be part of a social counterbalance. Those that trick us and make us think that, oh, everything's okay, we got someone on our side working for us. Makes you question everything, doesn't it? That's what's so sad about this. But there's always a bright side when you realize that we are the giants, we are the mob. We've got to figure out some way to help the mob change their mentality. So there's not a whole lot we can say to them to help change all the stories they've heard, but we can get them to test an idea as time has come. We can get them to take a solid food vacation and see for themselves what Victor Hugo referred to as the serpent in man. The diet and behavior connection, man, come on. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the Sea Gospel of Peace, Jesus referred to Victor Hugo's serpent, or maybe Victor Hugo referred to Jesus' Beelzebub as the serpent, because that's what he called it. Got a demon in your belly. Pollutes your blood, pollutes your thoughts. Affects you in ways you have no idea. You can still be a really great person and have that demon inside you. I had a 20-pound demon in me, serpent, Beelzebub. And I was a great guy. My biophoton levels are pretty low too. But I had a great mom. Plus, I was given a gift. And I knew I was given that to help people someday. And I knew it was going to be just a matter of time, and it was June 1st, 1990, when I finally found the knowledge I needed so I could use my gift and help people wake up. I have a special teaching tool. That's my gift back to you guys. I call it the ultimate schematic. It might seem intimidating at first, but gosh almighty, if you can play two square, you can understand my system, because I use two forms of two-value logic. I won't go into it anymore. But if you watch one of my latest videos I published, I share my latest update at the very end of that. It's a very long video, about an hour and a half long. And it's just a few back, the last one I believe. Everything can be explained with magic. Because that's what this is all about, folks. It's a trick. It's a magic act. And all we have to do is realize that they're taking away our responsibility. That we do play a role. We are part of what makes up that mob. And there's only one way to overcome this situation, this power structure we're in, and think of it like a pyramid. The mob is at the bottom. You got the elite at the very top, and then we got all their little minions, the Praetorian class, they're in the middle. Only one way for us to change this, folks. We can't attack the Praetorian class. We can't attack the elite. The bottom has got to change. We play a role. We got to be the best that we can be. It's too difficult to challenge the amount of references most people have. But when you have a brand new reference, when you test an idea as time has come, when you go the distance and you see all these illnesses go away, your behavior getting better, you're happier, you're more joyful, you realize the transformation you're going through, and you can't help but think, my gosh, if this entire planet could just experience what I've experienced, we could really wake up and turn this planet around. And it could be a paradise where no one would be working these 40-hour weeks the way we think of them. Although we're going to be real busy having fun, because we're going to be going around giving, making things better. Whatever you like to do. Hey, I'm going to go down the river today and change things up. You know, I like to work with my hands every now and then. I'm going to go down there and work on a few projects they got going that are going to really be fun for everyone to play with. Just imagine what we could do to this planet if we devoted our energies and used our great labor with the great materials and had zero liabilities. There's one thing I learned with a degree in accounting, I know that's the problem of mankind. We should not have any liabilities on this planet, which is the whole idea behind usury, loaning the money at interest. We live on an abundant planet, and it's one of the main points I try to help people understand on my channel. We've got a lot of laborers, got lots of material, and we should not have any liabilities. We shouldn't have any money either. That's why the ultimate solution is for us to change our mentality. So if we could get enough people to do this, reach the tipping point, and the majority of people are thinking this way, then we won't have an economic system the way we have now. We won't have an exchange mentality. It changes our mentality. And you got to trust me on this if you haven't done it. And I've coached so many people, and I've heard feedback from so many people, and I know how it affects everyone. It changes you when these biophoton levels bump up and your cells are vibrating at the right frequency and you don't have a bunch of waste matter inside you. That's why we suffer. And that's what I found 31 years ago. The diet and the reason why we suffer as a species on this planet. Connection. You can find it too. 5 mistakes. Shouldn't be using chemicals, shouldn't be processing food, shouldn't be eating plants we're not biologically adapted to eat, shouldn't be eating animals we're not biologically adapted to eat, and you shouldn't cook the food because then it will no longer have biophotons, and that's why we're in trouble. Don't you see how simple this is? Virtually everything on this planet could transform if we could wake up as a species and start eating those biophotons. And I'm not sure what percentage of those it would have to be for us to see a dramatic change. And obviously right now the world can't even supply that need or that want. But supply and demand, when we change our demands, guarantee the supply will happen. A lot of people will use this as an argument, saying, well, what you're saying can't be true because it can't even be done. Well, of course, not right now. There's no demand for it. If you understand anything about supply and demand, if you've been around long enough, you'll realize, hey, there was never any organic food at the grocery stores. When I first got into this 30 years ago, now every store has organic food. Supply and demand. And it'd be so easy. I mean, how long would it take to start creating fruit orchards everywhere on this planet? And vegetable gardens everywhere on this planet. Even on tops of roofs and on buildings, we could have food growing everywhere. But that goes against what the powers that be want. They want us to believe in this illusion of scarcity. So, start with detoxification. Follow that up with de-indoctrination. Start questioning those things that take away your responsibility. A lot of things do. And you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I know a lot of people can't handle gray areas, so I wish you luck on those. Because I know it's harder for some people when they can't have gray areas, or it's got to be black and white. But when you take a solid food vacation, folks, things happen to you. In the first week, the average guy I coach loses 10 pounds, the average woman 7 pounds in 1 week. And it's safe weight loss. We're flushing out our pipes. In 30 days, the average man loses 30 pounds, the average woman loses 20. And that's exciting, because most of that is going to be the serpent, Beelzebub, old fecal matter that hasn't been eliminated. And a lot of people say, oh, this can't be true. I got scoped out the other day, didn't see anything in there. Well, don't go get scoped out. Don't take all that stuff that will flush some of that stuff out of you. Take a solid food vacation. Document what comes out of you. At least take a closer look at it. If you actually were to document it, capture it, weigh it, smell it, look at it, and then start paying attention after a week or so, for me it was day 10, day 11, I saw things come out of me with definitions and grooves like the rubber off the tire of my car. Got my attention. To say I was excited is an understatement. And the best of all is when I finally woke up and went the distance, and it took 90 days. I crawled out of a rut I didn't even know I was in. And that was back when I was playing competitive sports, exercising 7 to 8 hours a day. Didn't think my life could get any better anywhere. And yet, it was better everywhere. That's what you guys have to look forward to. And remember, when you get on this hero's journey, folks, there's 5 main stages. One of them are the obstacles. You got to gather data. Part of the data you want to gather is how to help people. And part of that can be understanding the obstacles on the hero's journey, which is what I just did when I talked about how everything could be explained with the use of magic. Because that's how the powers that be fancy themselves as magicians, con artists, psychopaths, sick monsters that have taken control over the minds of the masses. And the day we can wake up those minds and help them realize they've been duped, ow! We'll all be in for a treat.